Hey guys, welcome to B3 Comics. Today we're doing our Best of the Rest segment where we look at the best comics we're not doing individual episodes on this week. But before we do that...
I just want to say it's good to be back after my month-long hiatus and, finally get to talk some comics.
So first up we have Green Lantern Corps Annual #1. The issue is written by Peter Tomasi and it picks back up where all the other Green Lantern titles left off last week. Simon Boz and Badig use the Book of Black and get stuck in one of the blank pages. Guy Gardner goes back and confronts the Guardians on Oa, and Kilowog has a minor resistance there. The Guardians are now trying to completely eliminate their corpse. Kyle Rayner and the new Guardians show up to help Guy Gardner battle the Guardians, and the issue ends with Guardians attempting to draw more power from the First Lantern, but instead he escapes.
So the big takeaway from this issue is that the First Lantern escapes, and I guess this event is more of just a transition into maybe another event?
Yeah, so it's leading into the Wrath of the First Lantern event. We don't know that much about the First Lantern. I think the first time we saw him was in Green Lantern Annual #1, maybe 6 months ago. So we'll have to wait and see what his general plan is. He said he wants to eliminate all life in the universe, but I assume there has to be more to it than that. Since this is the end of the Rise of the Third Army event, kind of looking at the event as a whole, how would you compare it maybe to other events that are going on in the DC universe? Or
So we have Death of the Family and Throne of Atlantis, which in my mind are far superior to what is going on right here.
I think, my fundamental problem with Rise of the Third Army is the Third Army was just never that exciting.
It really wasn't. And
I'm not entirely sure if they're done yet, but I'm sure they could potentially be used against this First Lantern, and hopefully they are, but we'll have to wait and see.
The main problem I had was just with the conclusion where, Kyle comes in, he's very powerful.
Yeah.
And why didn't he just come in sooner? And, we had most of this issue was devoted to all these other people having their own ways of trying to fight when all they really needed was him to show up.
Well, the First Lantern did seem able to fight off Kyle, which is kind of interesting because that will...
gives them something to fight, actually, because they've already established him as someone so powerful, so they need someone to actually...
Yeah. And we also need Hal Jordan to obviously come back. So maybe the best way to think about this isn't the ending of one event and the starting of another. Maybe it's more just like the starting in a new chapter of the event. It's like the second half.
Second phase.
Yeah. A question I have for you is, do you think there's any way out for the Guardians now? They're kind of stuck between the corpse on one side, the First Lantern on the other. Like, can they make it out of this all alive?
It all depends on how big of a threat the First Lantern is. It always comes down to... They look at it a pragmatic way. If the First Lantern is such a big threat that everyone needs to sort of band together to fight them, and then I'll probably forge some sort of alliance, and maybe allowing the Guardians to stay on and for a while longer.
Yeah. So as a grade for Green Lantern Corps Annual #1, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 3. I was kind of dissatisfied at the end because it just led into another thing that. We're going to have to read some more to really find out where this is going.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 as well. I really felt like if this was the end of the Rise of the First Army, there should have been more to it. More Hal, more really all the characters, and there just sort of wasn't. So, 3 out of 5.
Next, we're going to take a look at Avengers #4, done by Jonathan Hickman and Adam Kubert. In this issue, we see a lot of the backstory explaining how Hyperion came to be in this universe. Meanwhile, a team of the Avengers investigates the 6th landing site for one of Ex Nihilo's rebirth seeds. At the same time, it seems that a group of AIM scientists are also investigating these rebirth seeds for their own nefarious purposes.
So I don't know how I feel about AIM being able to outmaneuver the Avengers in this one, especially at the end of the issue. They have the whole 7th site that the Avengers don't know about, but AIM does. And another thing is, at the very end, when they've said we've secured the 6th site, and then the captured AIM scientist says like, "Yeah, you got them all."
I know
like
that guy was just completely
That verbal cue, the vendor should have picked up on.
They really should have, and I think that guy was just a complete moron. It's just like, yeah, you got them. Wink, wink. I mean, like, how more obvious can that guy be, right? But most of this issue was devoted to just character development for Hyperion. And I frankly find him to be not that interesting because he's such a Superman clone.
Yeah, we talked about how he is essentially Superman in our Avengers #1 review. And he kind of has, the same type of father figure who trained him. And he's basically what will happen when Superman when everyone around him dies. So also in this issue, though, there was a lot of interaction between him and Thor. What do you kind of think of that? Kind of the two most powerful Avengers.
That was probably the most interesting part of Hyperion in my mind, because he was, to me, it seemed like he was almost just like one-upping him. He was like, hey, I don't drink alcohol, there's no point to it. Or like, after Thor like blasts the guy with lightning, he comes in and shoots him afterwards, sort of like, hey, let me finish the job.
So they're kind of fighting to be the alpha?
I don't know if he's actually fighting or if that's just his personality.
So one thing that kind of interested me about this issue was in Avengers #1, we got to see the Wake the World graphic with all the characters on it. And we kind of wondered, when were they going to fill it in? How was this going to work? Was like each of the branches going to be a different team? Was each branch going to be like a specific arc? And in the beginning of this issue, we see the same graphic, but then certain characters are illuminated, and those are the characters in the issue. So, do you think this Wake the World graphic is going to be more of just a chart showing which characters are in it?
I think so. I think it's actually a pretty handy tool to look at. I think in old...
So the different trees, do they mean nothing then, or...?
I think they still might mean something in that they might have like a bit more connection to the person underneath it, but not necessarily like this is Iron Man's team or this is... It's not like that.
I kind of like the fact that it's not broken up by the different kind of character trees, because now you can just mix and match anything. Like Thor and Hyperion are kind of cool, and it'd be also interesting to see, like, I don't know, Spider-Man and...
It's still...
like Shinmu.
It still kind of worries me that there are so many characters to draw from, because if you're not going to have designated teams, you're just going to sort of see like a hodgepodge of characters thrown together, and maybe you're not going to be able to see relationships develop as much as you normally would in an Avengers run, because it's not always going to be the same people.
True, and you're not focusing in on specific... You can't, like, build character if you don't have consistent characters.
I mean, I don't know if, like... So we have this one issue building up Hyperion. Is next issue just going to be building up someone completely different?
Yeah.
So what would you give Avengers #4 as a grade?
Personally, I'm going to give this issue 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't bad. It just didn't stand out that much either. I mean, Hickman is still trying to set up all the characters, so we're still in the setup phase of his run.
Yeah, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 for that, pretty much that reason.